Hi, I'm Shannon Steffi, Senior Editor of Internal Auditor Magazine. I'm here speaking with Iain Pickard, who will be presenting the session Internal Audit's Contribution to the Regulatory Agenda at the IAA's International Conference on Tuesday, July 8th at 12:15 p.m. Welcome, Iain. How are you?
Very well. Hi, Shannon.
Great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Now, you're currently a partner at Kinetic Partners, so would you mind giving us a little bit of information about your background?
Yeah, no, sure. Kinetic Partners are a global professional services firm completely focused on financial services. And I've joined recently to help the firm grow into the retail, corporate banking and insurance spaces. The firm's got a great reputation in sort of capital markets. And my background in financial services is primarily as an operator. So I've been a chief operating officer of a number of firms, including Marsh, the insurance broker here in the UK, London market broker, and I've been an ops director for a Bermuda insurer. But in recent years, I've focused more and more on consulting, and particularly on regulatory change, mixed in with internal audit work. So a bit of both, to be frank. And I've broadened out from insurance into banking, into consumer credit, into broker-dealers, particularly online Forex and CFD dealers. So a pretty wide range of firms within the financial services space.
Great, thanks. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your session at the International Conference?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm going to speak about is internal audit's contribution to the regulatory change agenda. And I think people in the UK are probably more familiar with the parliamentary commission we had into banking standards here last year. But it doesn't really matter because the themes they came up with are pretty consistent globally. And they were very interesting, particularly for the role and profile of internal audit going forward.
Great. Well, what have you found to be some of the more challenging global regulatory trends for internal auditors?
Sure. Well, it's worth actually. Some of the points that this commission came up with were pretty critical of the profession, not for the people in it, but the way it's been used in firms. And one of the lessons learned that were drawn from the banking crisis of 2008 was that a more active and strategic and higher profile internal audit function would have helped challenge executives and non-executives and perhaps avoided some of the mistakes being made that were made. Some of the specific conclusions are worth replaying actually. They said that they felt that the non-executives in firms lack the capacity to challenge the executive management. Well, internal audit can play a role there by providing them with better information, more critical information.
Sure.
They said that that there needed to be improved lines of communication for the risk functions, including internal audit, the third line of defence, to the board and the non-executives. Too often, the people with the key information didn't have that direct line of access. And sometimes it was felt that the internal audit staff lacked the status to challenge senior management. They were regarded too much as sort of backroom guys, and they just didn't have the face time they needed to do their job.
Sure.
And the final point they made was that the independence of internal audit is absolutely critical if they're going to be able to provide the challenge that they're to do. Which is their job.
Sure. Now, I know you'd want your attendees to remember everything that you discuss in your session, but if you had to pick maybe 2 to 3 different points that you want them to walk away with, what would those be?
Yeah, no, sure. You couldn't possibly remember all that, but that's the background, really. What came out of these conclusions, and I think are points to take away that I'll go into further in the summer, is that first of all, the scope of internal audit shouldn't be restricted. They shouldn't be prevented from looking to any particular area. That scope needs to be much wider in future. It needs to look at the governance of a firm. It needs to look at key events in a firm, major acquisitions, for example, and it needs to look at the board's risk appetite. It's not their job to set the risk appetite, but they should certainly work out whether the board is going through that process properly. I think the other key point is their work needs to be risk-based. They can't possibly look at everything, so there needs to be a proper risk appraisal before they do it. So you're looking at the high-risk areas. And I think the final and most important point is internal audit needs to be truly independent, reporting into a non-executive, probably chairing the audit committee, and that the people in internal audit have the profile and the skills to get them access and the status needed to have their voice heard by the people running the firm, particularly in a large global bank or insurer.
Great, thank you. Well, I just want to remind you that his session is called Internal Audit's Contribution to the Regulatory Agenda. It will be on Tuesday, July 8th at 12:15 p.m. I want to thank you, Iain, for being here today, and we're looking forward to seeing you in London.
That's great. Look forward to seeing you in London in the summer, Shannon.
Great, thank you.
All right.